It's time to stitch the 3 wise men from our Nativity Stuffies. The wise men are on page 23, 25, and 27. Now these 3 wise men are pretty much the same type of stitch out. They all have fabric for their sleeves and a corresponding felt for their robe. They all have some sort of crown and they are all holding something, although each of those details are just a little bit different. They also have different skin colors. But I am going to stitch out all of these together since, again, they are essentially the same. I do have all of my fabrics backed with interfacing except for the fabric for the envelope backing and the felt. Also, the felt, I have the whole piece that came with my kit, and I have not cut those down to size according to the directions. So let's stitch the 3 wise men. I have opened my USB and I am going to bring in all 3 of the wise men. I have my 9.5 by 14 inch hoop selected and I am going to add all 3 to the hoop at the same time. So I will select the first wise man. I will select set, and then I am going to go to edit and rotate to the left, and I'm going to move him all the way down. I will select OK and then go to add. I'll go back to my USB and I need to select the second wise man. Of course, you could do them in any order. I'll hit set. He's selected because he is the last one that I brought in. So I will hit edit and rotate 90 degrees. And I'm going to leave him right in the center. So I will select OK and add one more time. I will go back to my USB and I need to find the third wise man. I will hit set. I will go to edit and rotate, and he's the last one I brought in, so he's automatically selected. I will rotate 90 degrees to the left, and I am going to move him all the way to the top. And so they're about equally spaced, and so I will watch when I am stitching the next wise man that the background fabric, doesn't get caught from the one I stitched before, but I should be okay. This red outline is my cut line. So if for some reason I need to trim a little bit of that background fabric in order for the second or the third knot to stitch on top of that, then I can just trim that off. I have plenty of room. So now that they are all set, I will select OK and embroidery. And then I like to stitch on the screen with the minus plus needle, just in case I need to go back or forward steps or stitches. And it will start with the placement for the first wise man. Now I am not color grouping or color sorting, so none of these are going to run the same steps together. I will stitch out start to finish one at a time, and it will start with the first design that I brought in, then go to the second and then the third. So we'll start with this first wise man that's down towards the bottom of the hoop. All right, so let's run the placement and place our background fabric. Now I can place the felt on top of that placement line. Again, I'll place it in the corner since I haven't cut this to size, making sure that I have enough past the line to get a good tack down. after trimming the most part of the felt off, I went back and kind of cleaned up a few of the edges, and you can see that this dark felt leaves quite a bit of fuzz behind. And so before I start and go on with the outlining, it's going to do the satin outlining, I am going to take some tape and just try to get a lot of this excess off. After stitching the satin outlining for the tunic, I called it a robe, but I think this is called a tunic. It did a placement line for the little vase that this wise man will be holding. Now, I didn't mention at the beginning that I will be using topping in both black and white this time. And again, that's that plasticky product that will help when this black vase is stitched not to show through the felt. And so it's just kind of a layer to help make everything feel like it should be. Now, again, I am using just a plastic tablecloth for this black piece. And so I just want to cover that little vase. I'll just put one piece of tape and then kind of hold it down with my little stick. All right, let's stitch that out. So you can see the texture of that little vase. And so now I just need to rip this away, and it just pulls away. I kind of pull towards the stitching. And if there's any little pieces that I need to remove with tweezers, I can do that. There's a little piece in between this little vase handle. For the fabric, I could place, again, this whole piece, and that's kind of what the directions say. I am going to just start with the face. Once it tacks down and cuts the thread, then I am going to manually stop my machine. It will move over to the hand. I will trim and then put a little piece over the hands. That's totally optional, but I am going to save the rest of the fabric for the second stuffy that I'm going to make. It just did the placement for the sleeves, and you can see that this square that they gave us that I didn't trim, this was just the size that came in the kit, is plenty. In fact, you could probably do 4 sets of sleeves, and so they definitely give you enough fabric. So I'm just going to make sure I place that over, and then I will tack down and trim. This placement line that it just did is for the mustache and beard. And this is going to be a step that uses topping. It is going to use white topping because his beard is going to be white. And so I have a piece of topping. This is actual Kimberbell topping that came in an embellishment kit from another project. Again, that's why I like to save my little scraps. And you know, I hope you can see that it just looks similar to that plastic tablecloth. I don't know if it's really any different. This might be actually a little bit thinner than the plastic tablecloth, but they feel essentially the same. So I'm going to make sure that I cover way up to the top where the placement line is. I am going to tape because this is pretty slippery. And then it's going to do the step that is the beard and the mustache. Look how good that beard looks. And this topping, again, is kind of just like an underlayment, kind of smooths things out. There was the skin fabric, which is pretty dark, and it had stopped about right in the middle. And then there was the tunic, which is the felt. And so you can see that this topping just made everything nice and smooth. It helped so that nothing could potentially show through the beard, the white thread. And I think it looks so great. It's so smooth. Again, it just rips right off. Now, that is a little thinner, I mentioned before. So, of course, it does rip a little bit nicer, easier, cleaner than the tablecloth. But you can't beat the tablecloth for the price. But see, here I still have a few that I might have to clean up. So, but such a great product to help, where it's needed. All right, that looks good. All right, let's move on. The next is going to be the crown. So the eyes have a jump stitch, so I am going to just cut that right now while it's flat. It's just usually easier. And then it ran the placement for the envelope backing. Again, this is always the same. I turned under on the short edge, and I'm going to place this fabric right side down with the fold right along those placement lines. I'll tack this down. It will run the placements for the bottom half. I will tape those and tack those down, and this first Wiseman will be done. I'm done with the first Wiseman, and I'm going to do the placement for the second, which is the middle one, and just kind of pay attention to make sure that it doesn't run over this fabric. And we'll get started on the second one. And you can see that was plenty far away. So I will just place this. And the reason I started with the red or the dark maroon color on this one and the blue on this one, and probably the gray on the third one, is that that is the first color that's going to be seen. And all of the stitches that I'm doing for tack downs with this darker color won't be seen. And so it's just, you know, less that you have to change. All right, so I'm going to tack this down. So this first placement line is for the headscarf, and I will place this down, tack it down and trim it, and then continue on. And because these are all pretty much the same directions, I'm not going to show every step, but it's just, you know, it will be the same after the headscarf. It will do some, you know, outlining of that. It'll do placement line for the tunic, which is the felt, and then it will, you know, do the crown and do the hands, and it goes through all of this pretty much the same steps, not in the same order. And of course things are a little bit different as far as the details. Like, of course, you can see the difference in the crown. What they're holding is different, but essentially it's just applique and embroidery, same as the first. This one, because he has a dark beard, as well as this one over here that has a dark brown beard, will both, I believe, get the black topping. So that will be the same. And again, the reason it gets black is because it's a dark thread that we want to kind of give a base to. And so I'm just going to run through and show pictures of these, since they're, again, essentially the same. And when I come back, it'll be ready to turn and stuff all three of these cute Wisemen. So I've turned one of the Wisemen out, and I'm going to do the same with the others. And again, the trim line is the outermost line on the stabilizer side. Trim around and notch or just cut little clips in the curves. That helps turn. And then I'm going to get all of the lint off with some tape, and I'm going to give them a light press. I always cover the felt with a pressing cloth. I use muslin, and then I'll stuff these and we'll get ready to put the backs on.